Hey there, All Things MSP crew. We are back again with another vendor update. Now, this vendor's been around for a while, but this is actually their first vendor update here on All Things MSP. So you're going to find out a lot about this vendor. And I think this is a really important or interesting vendor in the space because, you know, they do a lot with artificial intelligence, and it's really interesting the way they apply it. But I'm not going to talk about it because that's what we have Nick Ferraro from PIA here to do. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Eric. Great to connect. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. We love doing this with vendors because it gives kind of all vendors an opportunity to, you know, talk about what they do with the All Things MSP audience so that we can kind of have everybody involved, right? This is a community, and we want all the vendors to be involved. So to start out, you know, what's your role and how did you get involved with PIA?
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's a industry which is amazing in terms of having a community, it is the MSP one. So in terms of my background, the vast majority of my career was actually in telco, in enterprise. So the incumbent telco within Australia, Telstra, one of the largest telcos in Europe being O2, Telefonica UK. Then a number of years ago, I was approached by somebody to come and work for a small company in Australia, a managed service provider, as you have it. And he had grand ambitions. He had grand ambitions for the organization to become one of the largest mid-market players in the country, across the APAC region. And so, having looked at the MSP industry, having learned a little bit more about it, I thought, hey, what the hell, and jumped in. Now, a big part of that was, I talked about the ambition, or talked about the grand vision, was a platform that was developed internally to help said MSP, being Virtual IT Group, scale at a rapid rate. So early on, I had the early ambers of a platform that helped the business scale, that was able to help it achieve efficiencies, productivities. And keep in mind, this was pre-Chat GPT, this was pre-Open AI. So then, having joined Virtual IT Group as a chief customer officer, looking at everything around sales, product, marketing, customer success, we then attended a number of events, spoke within the community, and started to speak about our amazing results in terms of our margins, in terms of our engineers, the amount of tickets that were closing. Now, this was around in 2022. And effectively, what we were told was, hey, if you're achieving this, we want in. So that's where PIA was born from, right? So we quickly decided to spin out PIA as a separate organization. We launched in May 2022, brought on board our first beta partners and our first gamma partners. We launched then in October of 2022 in the US, and then we were live in market. So even though the organization is only 3 years old, we have effectively been developing this technology for the better part of 7+ years. And in terms of what we do, we are an AI-led automation company. So we automate end-to-end the ticket resolution process. We integrate into a PSA. So whether it be ConnectWise, whether it be Autotask, whether it be Halo, we integrate into the way that engineers do things today, but we automate all of the back-end processes to resolve those tickets. And that's effectively where we get from engineers doing 8 to 10 tickets per day to doing 30 plus. Effectively how we take a resolution of a ticket from 10 minutes to 1 minute. So that's what we're about. We're about automating the ticket resolution process of the service desk. And when I say that, a constant thing that we talk about is being born out of an MSP for an MSP. And that's the very reason. We literally were born out of an MSP. We were born out of trying to find a better way to do things, trying to make things more efficient. And that's how we came to be.
And that is where a lot of the best solutions come from these days, is when MSPs have a problem, or like in your case, are looking for a way to scale and don't have the tools available in the marketplace to do that. So they end up building one for themselves that they then go out and sell to other partners.
Absolutely. And even we often get asked about security, for example. Now, because we dealt with clients as an MSP, we understand the importance of security. So, hence, one of the first things we did as an organization was go out and get compliance with SOC 2, GDPR, HIPAA, IS 27001. So that's why it's an important point because we did see the issue as an MSP. We developed the solution as an MSP, and all of the fundamentals are built out of what we recognize to be important out of that MSP.
Now, what kind of efficiencies can an MSP get out of PIA?
So I spoke about some of the numbers that we're seeing. And let me unpick that a little bit more. The great thing about PIA is because of the way that it works, you don't need anybody with a technical background to be able to resolve the tickets. So we talk about an engineer assist mode, where it really is a case of follow the bouncing ball. So if you can imagine within your PSA, a ticket comes in, a chatbot pops up as an interface into our automation platform, and it's simply a case of yes, yes, no, yes. Now, I know that's sort of oversimplifying it, but that genuinely is the way that we have built the platform. So instead of, if you're looking at onboarding a new employee with your client, instead of having to go into a different system, whether it be Pax8, whether it be Dicker Data, in order to provision that license, it's all done within the one screen. All of the configuration that is done up front means that when we're looking at password type, when we're looking at type of ticket that are resolved and how it is resolved and type of email, usernames that are set up, it's all done in the front end. So it doesn't require the engineer to go into the back end to do that. So to answer your question more directly, we have had situations where we have employees who were previously doing dispatch. They come from a retail background or a hospitality background, so they are fantastic at talking to end clients, and they're able to resolve up to 30 tickets per day. Some of the best performers that we have seen on the platform are doing 30 plus tickets per day without a technical background, and that comes down to the simplicity of the platform. Now, I mentioned that we work into the way that MSPs operate, i.e., we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We are not developing a new PSA. We integrate into the PSA, but we make it more efficient. We make it easier. We make sure that the interface is simple with all the automation going on in the back end. And that's why we can seek those sorts of efficiencies.
All right. That's a great answer. And I love the fact that it allows the MSP to kind of take advantage of lower tech talent employees to handle, those basic tickets because PIA has the knowledge, the technical knowledge to do the work. The human in the loop, we'll call them, doesn't need all of that technical background. They just need to be able to watch it and make sure it gets done, make sure it gets done, not necessarily even done right, just that it gets done.
Absolutely. And
So
key to this, sorry, Eric.
I was just going to say that in addition to that, being able to bring those lower level technicians up, does it also help like the tier 2, tier 3 techs in any way?
It does. And speaking about, I'll refer back to being born out of an MSP and recognizing some of the, let's call it friction points for any MSP. One of the things we realize is that what I call a double-edged sword conundrum. So you have your best level 1 technicians who aspire to be level 2, aspire to be level 3, but you're constantly pushing them down because they're the best at resolving those level 1 tickets. So what this does is this actually frees them up. It provides an alternative to allow them to elevate their own roles, to allow, instead of them churning away, seeking other opportunities, they're staying in the organization because they're seeing a way forward. What it also does is it frees up, because we cover 60 different automations, and effectively what you'd consider all of level 1, most of level 2, it frees up those engineers, what you'd consider a level 2 engineer, to focus on projects. Projects is always a dirty word. You want the one-off sugar hit or the revenue that comes from a professional services or a project, but you never have the time or the resources. This now frees them up to do so. Suddenly you can start project planning. You can start edging out time to be able to complete those projects that have sat on the back burner and are causing you harm with your own clients because they want it delivered. You haven't got the resources or the time to deliver it. And to flesh it out even a little bit more, we saw a number of reasons why an MSP wants to free up their resources or wants to automate a lot of their, let's call it, some of the mundane tasks, the day-to-day, the password resets, new user onboarding, user termination, printer setup, blacklisting, whitelisting. They either want to scale, so M&A is a hot topic within the industry, has been for a number of years now. So if you want to acquire or be acquired, you want healthy margins, you want to add another MSP into your MSP, you don't want to go out and get a whole bunch of engineers to service them. And at the same time, you want to keep your best engineers, whether it be your level 1, your level 2s, your level 3s. This allows you to scale. We've done that as an organization, a virtual IT group, but it allows you to scale the organization without going out and paying through the nose for other engineers and by retaining your best talent. A surprise element we also found is consistency. So when there's humans involved, there's always human error. When there's human error, you're getting inconsistent result. You have clients who say, hey, this took me X amount of minutes to resolve. This time it's taken me half an hour. I'm getting errors. It's not working. When you have automation that looks at that best practice or how it's been configured in the first place, it's cookie cutter. It continues to do it. So there's a number of wins here, but ultimately that helps not only your end client, but also your engineers. It makes it not to use a fluffy word, but a happier place. You have those that don't want to do the mundane tasks, that are able to elevate themselves. You have happier clients because of consistency of end results. So you're no longer trying to put out as many fires. That's not a silver bullet, but what this does is take care of a big chunk within the service desk, which is usually the hottest topic, where the biggest fires are, which is resolving those day-to-day tickets.
Now, Nick, what about, what type of MSP does PIA really work best for? Because, there's all different kinds of sizes of MSPs, from very small one-person shops to, multi-million dollar MSPs with lots of technicians. Who gets the most out of this?
It's a great question, Eric. And it's a question that we've asked ourselves time and time again. The fact of the matter is, if I look at the spread of the MSPs or our partners, we have those as small as 500 endpoints, right up to north of 50,000 endpoints. So we work with what we call strategic accounts, i.e. those that are PE backed or master agents, but right through to the mum and dad shops or family shops. Now, that's our client base. Now, you ask who this is best suited for or who we work best with. We offer a range of solutions across the board. But the $1 million question here is those MSPs which are willing to work with us as a partner. And quite frankly, it's the case for most vendors. You've probably seen with many vendors that you get on this podcast. Because you need to look at the way you do things, and there needs to be buy-in. the situations, and let's be transparent, where the product has failed within an MSP has been a case of, yes, we sign on the dotted line, we want to do automation, and then there's crickets because there's no focus on actually integrating or implementing the product. The person who's let's call him the sponsor, who's there internally, the sponsor or the champion internally, who's absolutely keen to go, then pushes it out by 3, 4, 5 months. They jump on a meeting to work with our team, then they disappear for weeks on end. That's really where this doesn't work, and that's being completely transparent and completely honest about the situation. Where we have buy-in, through the organization. And keep in mind that we provide a white glove onboarding process, i.e., a project manager, a partner success manager, and the full blown team, including a product specialist to work with the team, where we have a team that not only signs on the dotted line, but is then keen and ready to work with us. And when I talk onboarding, I'm talking a couple of weeks. And then we provide the training. We have a knowledge portal. But where we have an MSP that says, absolutely, we're in, we've been talking about automation for so long and we want in, that's where we achieve success. It's as simple as that. I cannot think of one scenario,
Awesome.
unless there's been some technical quirks, whereby we have failed if we have worked together.
Well, that's great. And that's kind of what I expected with automation, right? Is because you have to have the buy-in to be able to really push that out effectively. So, Nick, thank you so much for describing PIA and talking more about the benefits to MSPs, especially to all sizes of MSPs, right? They just have to have that real buy-in to go forward with real, true automation.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eric.